What's up, y'all? This is John and Mike back for another episode of the Nothing Finer podcast. We are once again Nothing Finer on Millions, and as always, a part of the Fans First Sports Network. Trying to get a bunch of words out. Tonight we are talking to Big Frank Sulkowski. He is a sports anchor for a local news channel, the WJCL morning anchor, and Georgia Southern radio team member. We're talking Georgia Southern. I know some people may not be super interested in that, but we are excited for it. Being the real GSU, I think everybody in Georgia has an opinion on that.
Everybody.
Doesn't matter if you care about either schools, you have an opinion. But no, man, how you been? What are you drinking?
I've been good, man. Somewhat busy weekend. Got a new tattoo. Just spent most of the day yesterday. So just kind of healing from that. Not that it was that bad, but just drinking a Yingling. I was bamboozled at the beverage store that I went to because I'm like, oh, usually like Yingling is like the same price as PBR or whatever. No, it was like $12
For a six
like
pack?
for like for a 6 pack.
Dude,
I'm like, I know it was crazy, right?
Yeah, no, that's craft beer prices.
Right. Hey, Frank, what's going on?
Hey guys,
How are you doing?
doing all right. Yourself?
Doing well.
Yeah.
Good. All right. I think I got you.
Awesome. So we talked about it a little bit at the top, but do you mind doing a quick introduction for the listeners that may not be local to Savannah?
Yeah, I'm Frank Sulkowski. I've been at WJCL, the ABC affiliate in Savannah, since 2006. I was sports director for 16 years, and for the past couple of years, I've made the move over to morning show co-anchor. And I also, on the side, do the Georgia Southern pregame show for Georgia Southern football on the Georgia Southern Sports Network.
Awesome.
So before we get to the current team, how was that night in 2022 when the real GSU beat Nebraska in Lincoln?
It was one of those times. I was there when Georgia Southern beat Florida down in the swamp several years ago. So I think the Nebraska win was exciting. I think it was exciting because it was Clay Helton's first season. So a lot of excitement early on in the campaign. You go in there, and again, that Nebraska team, wasn't the traditional Nebraska power that we've seen. Same thing with Florida. But when you beat those teams that carry that name, it does mean a lot. So it was an exciting game. It was an exciting time to be there in Lincoln to see that ocean of red and Georgia Southern go in there, and they went punch for punch, never backed down, and drove down to get the win there at the end. And I think that kind of gave everybody a real sense of excitement of what could be in the future under Clay Helton. And I don't think it's wavered yet. I think a little bit more of the reality that's coming in and set the bar really high, really quick. Again, Georgia Southern have been close to knocking off some big schools over the years. Taking Georgia to overtime, a close loss or two against Georgia Tech, North Carolina State. The list goes on and on. They've been in contest, but over the hump against those Power 5 type conference teams. It's only really happened a couple times, and it happened against Florida and happened against Nebraska. So, again, it was a big win. How does it stack up in the history of Georgia Southern football? I think some people would be surprised that it's pretty far down the list. We talked to folks around Eagle Nation. That win was big, but it wasn't maybe as big as some of those 1AA national championships, or it wasn't as big as that Florida win. Heck, it wasn't as big as some of the wins over Appalachian State. So it was big. It's nice to have on your resume. It's nice to have your history book. And it was great for the folks who made the trip out to Lincoln. But you can, I tell you, they're not satisfied on that. They want bigger things, and that's a Sun Belt title and to be a perennial top 25 team.
Yeah, just a personal story about that game real quick. We had just got back from Savannah from going to the Georgia and Stanford game out there in Athens, first game of the season. And I was listening to the game all night at the Top L on BC Road, and like just the joy, like over, that you could hear, from the guys on the radio and everything was just like overcoming. That was kind of one of the reasons why I decided to go back to finish my master's at Georgia Southern starting this fall. I'm like, as shallow as it can be. Just because they have a football team is a great reason to do it, but no, here I go.
I'll give you a little side note to that. I think the greatest part of that call was Danny Reed, the play-by-play guy for Georgia Southern, always does a great job, full of excitement. The color man is a good friend. It's Terry Harvick, of course, played at Georgia Southern years and years ago. He got so excited, and he just basically said, and we still kid about it, all he could say was, "I love corn." That was his line. I love corn. So it's been amazing to watch. After that game, folks started. I know somebody got on a shirt that just basically said, "I love corn." So we'll never let him live that down. So I don't know if that will rank up there with the greatest calls ever. But Terry, given that I love corn, sometimes the most simplest things will be the things that people will remember. So yeah, we loved corn that night, that's for sure.
Nebraska has the best one for sure.
Oh, no doubt.
All right, so let's talk about 2023 real quick as well. Georgia Southern finished 6-7, 3-5 in the Fun Belt, averaged 30.2 points per game on offense, good 49th in FBS. But they did allow 30.5 points per game, good for 106th in FBS. So that bottom third, major college football. But the team went 6-2 in the first 8 games, including a frustrating loss to Wisconsin and Camp Randall before losing their last 5, which includes the bowl loss to Ohio. So with that, there's a little bit more here. Georgia Southern probably could argue they probably should have beat Wisconsin, but 6 turnovers, including 5 by Brand Cost Eagles, another program to win for Clayton. But that's the result of that game. This. One big picture again. How was Camp Randall just as they SEC fans are going to get a taste of that this fall when Bama goes to Camp Randall. But how was it for y'all?
There are certain things on your bucket list you want to experience. That going to the third to fourth quarter with jump around and you want to experience it, you want to feel it, and you wonder if it's as cool as you've seen on YouTube or the highlight shows and everything else. It really is. I mean, it was one of those cool things to experience and to be there for. A little different because we had an afternoon game, so we were there a day early when start. So it was a really quick turnaround. And again, you touched on it. A game Georgia Southern probably should have won. Even if Georgia Southern doesn't play their best game, they should have won that game because you were taking on a Wisconsin team that really didn't have activity yet. They were still trying to figure things out. If I were their coach and what I saw was I would have kept running the ball because they were having some success against it. But I think maybe they got a little they got a little nervous when Georgia Southern was hanging around. So. They were trying to put up some big plays, and it really wasn't working. Georgia Southern, you turned the ball over 6 times against anybody. They were at a tough time winning, more or less, on the road at a place like Wisconsin. So I think that was a tough one to swallow because the team, they felt like they were better than Wisconsin, and they might have been, but not for 6 plays, and that really turned the tide there. So, again, that would have been another signature win. That would have surpassed the Nebraska win, let's be honest. So, but again, you come up short. But you still did what you were supposed to do in non-conference play. So you're still feeling pretty good. And then you opened up Sun Belt play with a win over Florida State. We had against Carolina, who you had struggled with in recent years. So things you were feeling really good. But as we saw in college football, that can quickly go south. And that's exactly what happened for Georgia Southern. They just couldn't string together a complete game from then on out. So it was a tale of 2 seasons. I mean, first half of the season, a lot of promise. And you're thinking, okay, and, you get into the conference play, and all of a sudden, a couple weeks in, you're near the top of the conference standings, and you figure you're going to be a player to get into that Sun Belt Conference championship, and then you just can't win. You can't buy a win. You can't get a call to go your way. So everything that could go wrong did go wrong down the stretch for Georgia Southern.
So what is the approval rating for the head coach Clay Helton going into 2024?
I think Clay Helton, the honeymoon period is over, which it should be a couple years in like it is. But I think Georgia Southern fans, they're smart, but they're also hungry for wins. Let's be honest, like any fan base, but Georgia Southern even more so. They're accustomed to winning from the 1AA level FCS into early FBS. They want conference titles. They've seen the likes of their peers like Appalachian State see a lot of success. They get that name recognition, and Georgia Southern feels like they're should be there with them. And in reality, they should. But that's what happens when you go through some coaching changes. Georgia Southern had a string of them there when they moved to the FBS. So, again, I think the consistency, having the coaching staff with some familiar faces is going to go a long way. So, again, I think, Clay Helton, if he can get this team back to 9 wins, 10 wins, competing and being in the mix, Clay Helton will be just fine. And the thing with Clay Helton is he's completely happy here. I mean, let's be honest, he's been in the pressure cooker out on the West Coast. He's been at USC. He's seen all the crappy side of college football. I think he and his family are seeing the good side of college football, the passion that's here in the Southeast, the passion that's on a program like Georgia Southern with the traditions that are still alive today. Now he's just got to together things out of the season and get some of those wins, and things are going to be just fine. I really do think that. I don't think the panic button has been pushed quite yet. It's kind of funny, you talk to some people, and you got teams who haven't been bowl game tenured. Georgia Southern is becoming a perennial bowl team. Now they just want to take the next step, get another couple wins to be that perennial team vying for a Sun Belt title. And, I think Georgia Southern, the way they've been recruiting, the way the fundraising has been going, the way that fan base has rallied around the NIL, and what's being done there with the collective, I think Georgia Southern is on that cusp of taking that step. And it's a step that I know Eagle Nation has been waiting for, and hopefully we see it here in 2024. And there's a really good chance of it because I think we saw shapes of really good things during spring, and especially that blue-white game to finish off spring practice.
Our favorite stat to use in our preseason previews is ESPN's Bill Connolly's returning production stat, and it may be a little bit different because of all the transfers and all that. But his stats going back to the end of February. Georgia Southern's 97 total returning production, 35% offense, 104 out of 134, and then 66% of the defense coming back, good for 40th nationally. So with all that said, what's a quarterback situation like Statesboro? Helton has used quarterbacks in the last 2 years, or the first 2 years in Statesboro. They win in 23 touchdowns, 19 picks. And then Kyle Ventries came over for Buffalo in 2022, 27 touchdowns, 69 INT. So who's going to be under center Eagles this year?
No, and that's the thing. It's kind of funny where the quarterback is always the topic in Statesboro. It wasn't when they were running option or variations of the option. It continues now when they're doing a lot more passing. Well, I can tell you one thing. It's probably going to come down to 3 guys, and I don't think it's a foregone conclusion who is going to be starter. And we're going to get a couple guys early in the season, getting the nod, season earned it. What we did see in spring, the guy with the best spring is a guy who has been at Georgia Southern since he signed. So not a guy who's been in Florida before, and that's David Dallas. Of course, he and his brother both been at Georgia Southern since signing day. David Dallas, pretty Christian, been injured a good bit, had some shoulder problems. but out of all the quarterbacks, probably had the best spring practice, and that was very a pleasant surprise because he hadn't had a period of multiple weeks where he threw the ball and been on the field. But he was very impressive all spring long. And then again, you do have guys who come to Georgia Southern via the transfer and other places. Of course, J.C. French, a couple years ago, came to Georgia Southern, transferred in from Memphis. He's a guy who saw playing time last year before he got injured against Appalachian State. And then you got, of course, Dexter Williams coming in, a guy from Georgia. He's a Middle Georgia guy from Macon, went to Mountain Sales Academy there, and comes to Georgia Southern from Indiana. So those are your three guys: Dexter Williams, David Dallas, and J.C. French. The starting quarterback's going to be one of those guys. The starter's going to get the nod from that pack when Georgia Southern kicks off against Boise State. Who will it be? Not exactly sure. All three have done some good things. All three, none of them have had a lot of starting time at the college level. When you talk about it right now, J.C. French actually probably has the most time, even though Dexter Williams all the time. I'm talking about the time he's in Indiana. He's injury prone as well. So J.C. French, Dexter Williams, both injury prone. Heck, then you talk about Dallas, who's coming off an injury, early in his college career. So again, it's going to be interesting. Again, we may see multiple guys, we may see two, we may see three guys early in the year till we figure out who's got hot handed and who's all right. And then having those grades also be big because of those injuries. Keeping those guys healthy so you can stay healthy for a long run in the season. Again, you hear that cliche, in a marathon, it's not a sprint. And I think that's what some have to remember, especially if they want to play for a Sun Belt title and be in that conversation. Yeah, those early season games are very important. Those 4 preseason games before you get to conference play, but they're all important, especially when you're trying to surpass a 6-win total or 7-win total. So it's really interesting. I think a lot of answers still going to have a lot of questions going to have to be answered early in camp when Georgia Southern gets back to work.
So what are some other names we should know on the offense?
Well, I tell you what, some of the names that are going to automatically, you already know. I mean, those are guys, I was pleasantly surprised with Bo Johnson, who has played some tight end already at his time. He's coming back for another year. He's actually going to be a 6-year guy. It was nice to see him. Tight end's going to be a really nice position for Georgia Southern. Of course, you got Tyler Fromm comes in, a transfer from Auburn. He had a really good spring as well. I think the tight end was really good. And let's be honest, when it comes to the receiving core, Georgia Southern is going to have one of the most electric in the conference. You're talking about Derwin Burgess, who's back, that guy, all he does is put up some serious highlights. And I mean, Sam Harrison coming back off an injury, he's going to be interesting to see. Of course, one of the big things you do, one of the big holes you got to fill is Caleb Hood. And you don't really replace a guy like Caleb Hood. So hopefully there's going to be several guys who can step into that slot and be able to play really large. Because Caleb has a lot of that productivity that you were talking about. Jalen Cobb is a big play guy for Georgia Southern. Look at him on the deep ball. We talked about David Dallas, his brother Josh Dallas had a really good spring, actually caught 2 touchdowns in the blue-white game. So he's got Josh Dallas who to step in and really contribute at the receiving core. Marcus Sanders is back. Running backs, you're going to be all right. You've got guys like O.J. Arnold who's back, and then, of course, it all starts with Jalen White there in the backfield as well. Jalen is going to be one of those first-team all-conference type selection guys. I would imagine preseason will be number 1 first-team offense in the Sun Belt. It may actually be getting some All-American nods as well. If you can keep a guy like Jalen White healthy, you're going to go really far, and that's going to play a big part in Georgia Southern's success as we move forward. Again, one of the biggest questions we have going into camp was kind of answered here just right after the spring game. Kicker, and that was a very, you don't think about it, but Georgia Southern, of course, when you have guys like Tyler Bass and Youngway Koo over the years, kicker, not usually a problem, but this year was going to be. You had some transfers, guys who left it, and Georgia Southern was staring down going into the season without a solid place kicker. I think they got their guy now when they got Georgia Tech transfer, Gavin Stewart, who, of course, was a former Benedictine standout and played at Georgia Tech, was kind of their kickoff specialist, but also kicked extra points and kicked some people for Georgia Tech. Was a starter at one point there in Atlanta. So Gavin has committed, is coming to State Pro, and I think he steps in and he steps right into the role of handling all the place kicking duties, and I think you really don't skip a beat or miss a beat there with the place kicking. Have a guy like Gavin Stewart who's played in some big-time college football games, been in some big venues, and has big kicks, has some evening kicks in ACC play. And I think coming in for one more year, he got his degree. He's going to be just fine. All that pressure's off. Now he can kind of sit back, have a little fun. And it's going to be fun to see what he can do in State Pro again, right from where he was born and raised in Savannah.
What's the name that we know on defense?
Again, I think it all starts and it all ends right there with Marcus Watson Trent. That's the guy who you have coming back. And there were some questions if he would be one of those guys who would definitely have an all-conference defender coming back at linebacker. And it all starts with him. Of course, he started his career transferring here from Pitt. A hard hitter, a guy who, if he stays healthy, is amazing to watch play. So I think it all starts with him defensively along the defensive front. There are some big shoes to fill. I think you're not going to have a lot of household names on defense, and you're going to have probably the deepest that the Georgia Southern defense has been in quite some time, which is exciting in its own right. I think being able to have a lot of guys rotate through is going to be a new thing for Georgia Southern to deal with. But again, it all starts in that linebacking core. And from what we saw in the spring, this defense, there's not one star. I mean, it was actually fun to watch Brian Bailey's defense as the ball. He just fly around the ball. I mean, they're all over the place. And I think there are still a lot of jobs up for grabs. I think there are a lot of guys who want to try to solidify their spots that they played so well, in spring. So again, I think defensively, while there may not be, but they got one superstar on there, Marcus Watson Trent. I think you have a lot of guys who can fly around and play defense. So again, I think we're going to be surprised. I think we're going to find some stars just a couple weeks into it, and we may not know who they are quite yet. I mean, I look for maybe like a guy like Isaac Walker on the defensive front to have a big year. We've seen him do some good things. There's so many guys. It's one of those things where we're here in the middle of summer. You try to evaluate what you saw in spring, and what I saw in spring was again not a lot of stars. I just saw a lot of flying around to the ball. I saw forcing turnovers. So I don't care who's doing that. If Georgia Southern can get takeaways and avoid the turnovers that we saw last year, Georgia Southern's going to be in the mix for that Sun Belt title. There's no doubt about it.
Love to hear it.
So, in your opinion, who is Georgia Southern's biggest rival?
That's easy. Georgia Southern's biggest rival is Appalachian State. The rest of it is Georgia State rival. They are rivals. They're the in-state rival. But if you're talking about Georgia Southern's biggest rival, season in, season out, without a question, it's Appalachian State. These two teams, these two fan bases, they just hate each other. I mean, they just don't like each other. These two schools have been recruiting the same players since the jump. They made the move up to the FBS together. They played some epic games. We've seen, Appalachian State be number 1, Georgia Southern knock them off. We've seen vice versa. Just a couple years ago, Georgia Southern, they were both playing for a bowl game, and Georgia Southern beat Appalachian State. So even when both Summer Town years, they hate each other, and they're still, playing for big things. That was really Appalachian State sat at home, Georgia Southern. So here's the Appalachian State, Georgia Southern's biggest rival. They probably will be to the end of time. And I think that's really why the Sun Belt has put that thing later in the schedule to get that on rivalry weekend to really. Those were two marquee names when they both made the jump to the Sun Belt. Those were who they were hoping would take. Like, of course, we've seen a lot more expansion, but the likes of James Madison and Old Dominion coming in. I think the Sun Belt is not deeper. I think some of those rivalries will stand the test of time. And Georgia Southern Appalachian State is certainly one of them, if not one of the best rivalries in college football. It definitely is top 3 of the group of 5, but it's definitely one of the top 9s. I mean, if you haven't been to a Georgia Southern Appalachian State game, whether it's State Pro, whether it's Boone, whether it's my backyard or whatever, you're missing out. It is just a great environment, and it's a great college football game.
Yeah, for the record, both of us lived in Atlanta up until a few years ago, and even up there, everybody knew GSU was Georgia Southern. Wasn't any argument. So
the only people that would argue are people that went to Georgia State.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And then on top of that, it's kind of hard. Georgia Southern, the Georgia Southern fan base doesn't give the Georgia State fan base too much leeway. Even up there, Georgia Southern has outnumbered Georgia State fans 5-1. And Georgia State says, hey, we're going to travel States Pro. They don't do it. So I mean, listen, when it comes to passionate fan bases, Georgia Southern is the real GSU. There's no doubt about it. I tell you what, you have a lot of States Pro. We're now going to keep an eye on that GSU from Atlanta with LG up there. LG, former interim head coach at Georgia Southern, led the Eagles to the bowl game win at the GoDaddy Bowl, their first ever bowl win. Some people in the fan base wanted Dale McGee to be head coach at Georgia Southern. You're talking about a guy who has gone to Georgia and just solidified his resume. So you got a lot of folks in States Pro that are always going to have one eye on Atlanta now, and I think maybe this rivalry may become a little bit larger when you're talking about the GSU rivalry.
Yeah, they got GSU put up billboards that everywhere you can go around town, so they're all in.
Yeah, they're all in. So it's interesting to see that. Again, you're in-state rival. So it's kind of like Georgia Tech. You don't like them. They're your rival. They're your in-state foe. But if you're asking Georgia who your biggest rival is, I mean, who would you say University of Georgia's biggest rival? Florida?
State.
So I think it doesn't matter where you are, whether we're watching Georgia Southern, it's Appalachian State. So it's not the waiver. If you go to Virginia, it's not James Madison, Georgia Southern. It's Georgia Southern, Appalachian State. That's if you go to Texas State or if you're Alabama, Louisiana, everybody else is the
So on Saturday, you posted Georgia Southern's 10.5 underdog in the home opener, in just opener in general against Boise. If you had a bet today, so June 2nd, so we're 80-something days out or whatever it is now. Are you taking Georgia Southern plus 10.5 or are you taking Boise minus 10.5?
I'm taking Georgia Southern 10.5 plus. Listen, you're a home dog. Not only are you a home dog, you have a team that's coming from Idaho to play in Statesboro, Georgia. That time of year, you're talking about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So, and I think that's one thing that we've seen disappear with the evolution of how TV, broadcast rights and everything else changed. Those TV games are so important. But I think with Georgia Southern, when they were playing at that wonderful play level, they would line up to kick off at 1 o'clock in the afternoon in the early season, and that was a home field advantage. You're playing, August to September in Statesboro at noon or 1 o'clock. Come on. That's going to put a lot of visiting teams at a disadvantage. And I think a 4 o'clock kickoff, while it's at 11 o'clock, it's still hot, guys. It's going to be muggy. It's going to be sticky. And those guys from Idaho are going to come out here and they're not dealing with that humidity as they prepare for this game. There's no way to mimic that humidity that they're going to experience here. So it's the same way when our teams go out and play in the mountain areas. It's in air. We have air going to be really thick. We're grasping for breath in humidity. So I think that to advantage Georgia Southern. I think the unknown is also in Georgia Southern's favor. You don't know who's going to be the starting quarterback. They don't know who's going to be. They don't know what they can do. What the quarterback is capable of. So I think some unknowns are going to come to play. But a double-digit dog at home over the season. Listen, this is the same Boise State that was winning BS games. They've gone through some changes as well. So again, 10.5 points, that's a lot to lay on the road in the season opener. So many questions. So I would take the underdog in that situation. I'm not just saying that for my tie Georgia Southern. If I was just a bet night, I would take the underdog 10.5.
Yeah, got to, right? Got to.
So it was also announced the kickoff for the Boise State game is at 4 p.m. Yep. We have had some serious conversations about going to that game. Depending on the tailgating TV situation because the Georgia game is at noon. So what do we need to know about the tailgating scene or your go-to place to eat around Statesboro?
Well, the thing about Statesboro is, like an eat for go to a sports bar. Everything you need is in the tailgate lot. Everything you need is in the tailgate lot. Whether it's drinks, whether it's food, whether it's barbecue, whatever you're looking for. If you need breakfast at 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it's okay. These folks have been tailgating since 6 a.m. or in some cases the night before. So everything you need to buy in Statesboro, all the stuff you need in Statesboro, the Georgia Southern home game is in the tailgate lot. And you can't miss it. It's right behind the stadium, there by the practice facility. And everybody is there. That's where you go. If I had to give you one piece of advice, if anybody's going to come to a tailgate at Georgia Southern, do not wear Georgia Bulldog colors. Don't wear red.
That's the other question. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. No, you don't wear. You can wear white. You can wear blue. You can wear pink. You can wear green. Do not wear a Georgia Bulldog shirt. Don't wear a jersey. Don't wear a belt collar. Just as you are, wear the blue, wear the white. But you're going to be just fine. The only times you may not be fine is if you come rolling in there and David Green with that jersey or something like that. Then you may have an issue. Then we can't help you out. We can't. We can't. It's just the reality of it. And that's just the basics, and that's just how passionate they are. I mean, yes, we've seen the success that the University of Georgia has had. And listen, different levels, right? Group of 5, SEC, national championship aspirations there, and that's good for them. In Statesboro, they have their own thing going, and they can be separate. But yeah, that's going to be it. That's the beautiful thing as well. Is that game will kick off at noon, and it will be finishing, and Georgia Southern will be getting underway at 4 o'clock. So if you want to watch it on your phone in the bathroom, you're welcome to go find a stall and do that. But don't come out market.
It's hard.
That'd be tough. I wear the same jersey. I've worn the same jersey for every game since the start of the 2021 season. So that'd be tough.
That'd be tough, but you got to weigh it. Do you value your health? Or you want to go pretty cool, go 5 things.
I've got some coworkers that go to all the Georgia Southern games and tailgate, so I'm hoping if I hang out with them,
you do be okay.
Yeah, I have a couple visible UGA tattoos, so I'll make sure that's covered up.
I had to give advice. That's the best advice I get.
Okay. All right, so last question I've written down here. What records does GSU need to have in order to consider it to be a successful season? And what's your prediction for the Eagles this year? What do you think their record's going to be?
I think Georgia Southern, what we saw last year, what could have been, what comes out this year, I'm looking at Georgia Southern to get to 8-9 wins. I think that's the wheelhouse. I mean, we saw, you start seeing what Vegas puts out and what they think that the total is. I think it's 5.5 or 6 is usually the number. So the over-under, I think Georgia Southern's better than 5.5. So, I mean, if you want to parlay and take the over total and the 10.5, go ahead and do that. If you want to parlay to kick off the season with Georgia Southern. I think they're better than 5.5. I think 8-9 wins and being in the conversation and not having to collapse late in the season. I think people will still be feel pretty good. Especially you get 10 wins and you're in that mix and you reach the Sun Belt championship game. Things are going to be really good in Statesboro. They're going to be feeling really positive. So I'm looking at 8-9 wins is what I'm thinking right now going into the season. Now again, last year I thought 8 wins too, and we somehow got to 6, but again it had a collapse in Sun Belt play. They were on track to win 8-9 games. So I think that's the number you need to be shooting at. And you can't be satisfied with 8-9 wins, but I think if you get there, that's up from the 6 wins that you've seen the past 2 years. So if you can show improvement, continue to show improvement, and you're getting different guys in position to for the next year. You're showing what you can do with recruits. You get some young guys that can step on the field and contribute right away, and you build. I think that will go a long way. So I would say 8-9 wins. I'm looking for a lot of people around Statesboro would say the same thing.
And I mean, we've been trying to fight on here all last season. We think the Sun Belt's West 5 conference there is like between them and the American. Honestly, we've been going with the Sun Belt more often now, so we're looking forward to that being the case again this year. Hopefully.
Well, and you've seen some of the different powers that have come up with the other conferences. You have good teams and bad conferences, but I think from top to bottom, the Sun Belt is just the most competitive group of 5 team. It's one of those things where you see it year in and year out. Folks are not wanting to schedule that because they're able to win an upset. We have to go back to the Saturday Georgia Southern knocked off Nebraska. I mean, that's the same Saturday that Sun Belt teams also knocked off Notre Dame and Texas A&M. So again, it's one of those things where they're competitive from top to bottom. We've seen Georgia State team several years ago go to Tennessee and knock off Volunteers. We've seen James Madison knock off Virginia Tech. We've seen Old Dominion go to. So again, I think from top to bottom, the conference is one of the best, if not the best, in the group of 5. I think it's getting better. You got Texas State program with money and with the start to see out there. When they get things rolling, look out because they talk about another potential power in the state of Texas. That's only going to bolster the Sun Belt's image. And you get Georgia Southern back to 8, 9, 10 wins. Appalachian State, they can be what they are. James Madison, I think James Madison is going to take a step back. I think Coastal Carolina is going to take a step back. So this is a chance for Georgia Southern to hopefully go ahead and get a rightful place there near the top of the Sun Belt. So exciting times. It's great this time of year because everybody's team is undefeated. Everybody's team can go undefeated. Every team can win a national championship. Well, maybe not everybody's team can win a national championship. But you know what I'm saying right now, super time. But we'll all start getting a little bit more nervous as we get into July. Then we get into August. Oh, that's bellyache time because there's no turning back. So it's definitely going to be an exciting 2024 season, and looking forward to getting on the way.
Yeah, we're talking about Georgia Southern. We might be a Georgia podcast, but we talk about Georgia Southern legitimately almost every week. We have tried to make it games the last few years. It seems like every time Georgia Southern has a home game, Georgia has a home game. I have season tickets, so I make a trip up to Athens every week at home. But we're hoping to make at least one this year. Go out and do it Statesboro way. Hopefully, remember the second half.
I will tell you this: there's going to be a great opportunity. To get Georgia Southern at home, and we talked about it. November 30th in Statesboro, Georgia Southern, Appalachian State.
Yes.
I'm telling you. Did you imagine if the next again? That would be one. CUA will go out and hopefully the Sun Belt championship game online.
Maybe.
But yeah, more over in Statesboro. And again, I think Georgia Southern, what you did, very, very lovely bunch they are, and they're very hospitable. And I think you'll find some of the best tailgate and kind of a great year.
We appreciate you coming on and talking to us. Is there anything you'd like to plug before you get out of here tonight?
No, I appreciate what you guys are doing. Anytime we get the word out, and again, you guys know how passionate folks are, sports fans are here in the state. And I've been for a long time. I grew up in Texas. I've been around the state and now going 18 years. And having done sports, I'm still a sports guy, always a sports guy, and in my heart. But now I go to some morning shows. So I've watched my life go completely flip. I used to go to bed 2 in the morning. Now waking up at 2 in the morning, hit work at 4:30. So you get a chance. It's still the same energy, same excitement, just doing it on the morning show. Tune us 4:30 Monday through Friday. We're up early. Again, we got sports, news, weather, the traffic, and have a really good crew. But I appreciate what you guys do and let me come on and talk a little bit about Georgia Southern. And it's always been polished up, especially here in early June because as we get closer to the season, a lot of homework to do to go ahead and get ready for the 2024 season.
Anytime you want to come back, just let us know. We're always
I appreciate having you.
All right, appreciate it.
All right, we've got to talk about a couple more things if you want to go ahead and get out, but we really do appreciate it a ton.
Appreciate y'all.
Have a good night.
I think.
Where are we at here?
All right, guys. Want to say thanks again to Frank coming on and talking to us tonight. Everybody loves Fun Belt. If you listen to the show, you are football degenerate. You watch the games. I guarantee you, every single one of us remembers the Georgia Southern Nebraska game. We all laugh at the Georgia Southern Florida game. We
Georgia State, Tennessee, like Frank talked about.
And App State, we all love it. So, anything Georgia Southern, really follow Big Frank Sulkowski on Facebook. He is a great follow for Georgia Southern stuff. But is there anything else you want to talk about before we get out of here?
So Georgia had guys on base. It's the middle of the 5th. They're down 5-3 against Tech. Now they do have one more game if they manage to load this game. One more game on Monday, I guess. But land it now.
Yeah,
it's not best for the region.
Yeah, I agree. I was debating on talking about it, but we're about to record another episode, so you guys will more than likely hear our reactions towards the end of this game because we both are watching it in the background. But that's going to do it for us on this episode of the Nothing Finer podcast. As always, guys, follow us on social media. Instagram is at nothing.finer.pod. Twitter is at finerpod. Just look us up on Facebook and YouTube. You'll find us there. I do want to say we're going to be doing a ticket giveaway for a football game this year. You're going to be sitting in my seats for a game. We haven't determined all the details for that, but we'll be coming soon, so keep an eye on social media, podcasts, all that kind of stuff. But as always, remember, there's nothing finer in the land.
There's a Georgia fan.
All right, I'm going to end the stream because it's lagging.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 15 minutes.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. But I'm also going to go change shirts because hot as fuck.
Yeah, I had to do it. I'm long sleeves. I'm just sweating my balls off. So I'll shout.
I don't have any. Oh shit, Kirby's at the game right now.
Oh, there he is. Fuck yeah. He should be sitting behind home plate, just trying to intimidate